Amid the fiery political clash between Elon Musk and President Trump, a chilling discovery halted the Musk security team in their tracks. The intercepted letter bore a menacing warning: your security teams can't be everywhere. Your children attend school. Your family travels on public transport. Those betraying American values should watch their backs. This stark threat, typically escalated to the FBI without delay, carried the weight of a furious individual's intent. Yet, as the team delved deeper, the narrative took an astonishing turn, leaving seasoned security experts speechless. The letter's unexpected evolution shocked even the most jaded observers, prompting Elon to defy all security protocols by penning a personal reply. What unfolded next turned a deadly menace into one of the most profound examples of human redemption ever recorded, illustrating that, even in our most divided era, a single act of honesty can reshape everything. As dawn barely crested the horizon, the security crew at Elon Musk's company headquarters began their daily routine. James Wilson, a veteran with 2 decades of safeguarding high-profile figures, led the team, sifting through the overnight mail pile. Normally, mail screening was a meticulous but predictable task. However, with Musk's name dominating news cycles and social media due to his public feud with Trump, security measures had escalated to their peak. The dispute, ignited weeks earlier over government spending and tax breaks for electric vehicles and space exploration, had spiraled from a policy debate into a televised and online brawl. Trump assailed Musk's companies as beneficiaries of public funds, while Musk defended his vision of sustainable energy and space ventures as critical investments in America's future. As the conflict intensified, so did public reaction. Supporters on both sides grew louder, some expressing dissent in ways that raised safety concerns. Online threats proliferated, protesters gathered outside Tesla facilities, and mail volume to Musk's offices doubled, brimming with sharp critiques of the ongoing strife. Another tense day, James muttered to his colleague Sarah Chen, a former FBI agent skilled in threat assessment, as she donned gloves to tackle the day's correspondence. The security team followed a well-honed process, checking for unusual weight or thickness, inspecting packaging for suspicious substances, scanning for explosive devices, and flagging mail without return addresses or from unknown sources. In recent weeks, their vigilance had sharpened, given how public figures in political storms often attract the wrath of those whose anger outpaces reason. Midway through the morning stack, Sarah paused at a particular envelope. Crafted from heavy cream-colored paper, it bore Musk's office address in neat print but lacked a sender's details. The meticulous anonymity triggered her professional instincts. "James, this one needs a full protocol check," she said, lifting it cautiously. James nodded, escorting it to the inspection area. Using specialized equipment, they tested for hazardous materials or devices. Finding none, they carefully opened it, adhering to procedures for potentially sensitive correspondence. Inside were 3 pages on matching cream paper. Sarah read aloud for James to hear, documenting the potential threat as she went. The letter opened with a sharp rebuke: "Mr. Musk, I write to express my profound disappointment and anger over your recent statements about President Trump and his policies. As someone who once admired your business acumen in America's success story, I find your criticism of the president's economic vision not only misguided but deeply insulting to hardworking Americans like me." The initial paragraph, though critical, wasn't unusual. Hundreds of similar letters had arrived lately. But as Sarah continued, the tone darkened. "Your elitist behavior and desire to undermine our president expose your true nature. You claim to care for American workers, yet your factories move overseas while you lecture us on public spending. Your hypocrisy isn't just disappointing, it's contemptible." The rhetoric grew hostile in the next section. "People like you think your wealth shields you from the consequences of your political games. You sit in your mansion, making policy statements that affect ordinary Americans, never worrying about bills or your family's future." James and Sarah exchanged worried glances as the language escalated beyond typical fan mail into something more ominous. The following paragraph intensified: "Perhaps you should remember you're not untouchable. Your security teams can't be everywhere. Your children attend school. Your family travels on public transport. Those betraying American values should watch their backs. For betraying the president and his supporters, there are consequences. James reached for the phone. "I'm calling law enforcement," he said grimly. "This crosses into a real threat." "Wait," Sarah urged, eyes fixed on the page. "The next part takes a strange turn." She read on, and what followed stunned them both. "Mr. Musk, I realize my anger got the better of me, and I'm ashamed of the threats I wrote above. I'm a 73-year-old grandfather grappling with my own frustrations and fears for our country's future. I started this letter in rage, but while writing, I recalled my granddaughter's admiration for you and her dream of becoming an engineer inspired by your example. How can I threaten someone who gives hope to children like her? I apologize for my earlier words. I pray you'll forgive an old man who, in a moment of political disillusionment, forgot his values. Robert Peterson." The security team fell silent, processing the letter's abrupt shift. What began as a menacing missive had morphed into a raw moment of self-reflection and remorse, captured mid-draft. "I've never seen anything like this," James finally said. "It's like watching someone talk themselves off a ledge." Sarah nodded, still studying the pages. "He didn't even rewrite it or hide his initial thoughts, he just changed his mind mid-letter and owned it." "Do we still report this?" James asked, hand on the phone. "The first part contains clear threats." Sarah considered carefully. "Yes, we must document it per protocol. But I think it also warrants Mr. Musk's personal attention. This isn't your average threat letter." After completing security procedures, documenting the letter and consulting legal teams on handling potential threats, they opted to escalate this unusual correspondence directly to Elon rather than file it routinely. Later that day, between meetings, Elon arrived at the office, and James briefed him on the day's security concerns, saving the peculiar letter for last. "Sir, there's one letter I believe you should see personally," James said, handing over the preserved document in a protective sleeve. "It starts with alarming language that could be construed as threats to you and your family. But before you read it, I should warn you it takes an unexpected turn." Elon raised an eyebrow, took the letter, and read silently. His expression remained neutral through the first page, a faint crease forming between his brows on the second. By the final paragraph, the crease morphed into a look of intrigued surprise. "This is extraordinary," he said, looking up at James. "Have you identified this Robert Peterson?" "Yes, sir," James replied. "Our team confirmed he's a 73-year-old retired mechanical engineer from Ohio, with no criminal record, history of threatening behavior, or prior attempts to contact you. By all accounts, he's exactly as he presents, a grandfather caught in a political moment who found his better self." Elon nodded thoughtfully, still gazing at the letter. "Thank you for bringing this to my attention. I'd like to keep it, if it doesn't conflict with your protocols." "Of course, sir, we've documented it and taken necessary security steps. Do you want us to involve law enforcement regarding the threatening remarks?" Elon weighed the decision. "Follow all required protocols for documentation, but make it clear I don't wish to pursue action against Mr. Peterson. His self-correction outweighs his momentary lapse in judgment." After James left, Elon sat at his desk, rereading Robert Peterson's letter. Accustomed to both fervent praise and harsh criticism, he received thousands of daily social media messages, ranging from adulatory to vitriolic. But this letter stood apart. It mirrored something authentic about America's current political discourse. Robert began with raw anger, likely fueled by media coverage and escalating political rhetoric. Yet, mid-composition, he experienced a revelation. Mention of his granddaughter, a young girl inspired by Elon to pursue engineering, rekindled values beyond political allegiance. The letter struck Elon unexpectedly. The past weeks of public sparring with Trump had been draining, inflicting an emotional toll he rarely acknowledged, even to himself. Focused on defending his companies and vision for sustainable energy and space, Robert's letter reminded him of the human stakes in political battles, evoking both people's worst and best instincts. After nearly an hour with the letter, Elon made a decision that surprised even him. He would reply to Robert personally, not with a formal note or through an assistant, but with a handwritten letter reflecting the honesty and transformation in Robert's message. Taking a sheet of his personal stationery, Elon wrote, "Dear Mr. Peterson, thank you for your letter. I imagine you're surprised to receive a personal reply, especially given how yours began. But it's that start, and more importantly, how you altered it, that moved me to respond. In these times of sharp political divides, it's rare to see someone acknowledge their anger and step back from it, especially mid-thought. Your honesty in owning your initial feelings and your courage in expressing regret, rather than starting anew, speak volumes about your character. I want you to know I understand the frustration many Americans feel about our country's direction. Though we may disagree on specific policies or approaches, I believe most of us share common hopes for a prosperous, safe, and sustainable future. My disagreement with President Trump isn't personal, it stems from differing visions on achieving these shared goals. You mentioned your granddaughter's interest in engineering, which touched me deeply. Despite our political differences, I hope we can all support the next generation's drive for innovation and problem solving. I'd be glad to send her educational materials on engineering and space exploration if you think she'd enjoy them. Again, thank you for your candor and willingness to rethink your initial reaction. In this era of heightened political tension, your example of self-reflection is more valuable than you might realize. With respect, Elon Musk." Elon reread the letter before signing it. It felt odd responding personally to someone who'd initially shown such hostility. Yet Robert's transformation warranted recognition, a reminder that behind angry political rhetoric stood real people capable of reflection and change. He placed the letter in an envelope with some Tesla and SpaceX educational materials for a budding engineer, added Robert's verified address, and handed it to his assistant for mailing. Returning to his hectic schedule of meetings and decisions, the brief personal interlude yielded to the relentless pace of managing multiple innovative firms. 3 weeks later, amid the usual deluge of daily mail, a new letter from Robert Peterson arrived, bearing a return address and clearing security checks without issue. Elon opened it with genuine curiosity to see Robert's response to his unexpected reply. Inside were 2 handwritten pages and a photo of a girl, perhaps 10 or 11, intently working on what appeared to be a science project, a small wind turbine crafted from household items. "Dear Mr. Musk," it began, "I can't adequately express my surprise and gratitude for your personal response to, frankly, an unjustified letter. Your generosity in forgiving my initial hostility deeply moved me and prompted reflection on how political differences have hardened my heart in recent years. The materials you sent for my granddaughter Sophia brought tears to her eyes and mine. She proudly displayed your letter in her room. Yes, I showed it to her, but not my original letter to you, and has completed 3 engineering projects from the kit. I've attached a photo of her working on a renewable energy demo for a school science fair. I feel obliged to offer a fuller explanation of what happened when I wrote that first angry letter. I've always been politically engaged, and in recent years, I've grown increasingly frustrated and fearful about changes in our country. I spend too much time watching cable news, growing angrier daily as I see reports of your disagreement with the president I support, until something in me snapped. I sat at my desk, filled with a rage I'm now ashamed to admit. As I typed those threatening words, I genuinely felt my anger was justified. But then I looked up and saw Sophia's photo on my desk, the same one I've shared with you. In that moment, I recalled how just a week ago she excitedly told me about a video she watched of your rocket landing, saying she wanted to build rockets like yours someday. That contradiction hit me like a physical blow. How could I threaten someone who inspired my granddaughter's amazing dreams and ambitions? What example was I setting, letting political differences turn me into someone writing threat letters? I couldn't bring myself to start over. I wanted to be honest about my lapse and my regret, even if it meant owning my terrible misjudgment. Your response left a profound impression. It pushed me to reconsider my approach to political differences. I've started talking with family members whose views differ from mine, trying to listen more than speak. It's not easy and doesn't always work, but I'm trying. Thank you for your kindness despite my initial hostility. And thank you for continuing to inspire young people like Sophia, regardless of their grandfather's political views. With sincere gratitude and respect, Robert Peterson. Elon leaned back, holding the letter, struck by the emotional weight of Robert's words. Amid managing multiple companies and navigating a high-profile political feud, this unexpected exchange with a once hostile stranger became a poignant reminder of human connections transcending political divides. He studied Sophia's photo, her focused expression as she adjusted her homemade wind turbine's blades. Her passion for learning and creativity shone through even in that single image. It was a powerful echo of why he founded his companies, to build a better, more sustainable future for children like her. Over the next few days, as the public dispute with Trump continued unfolding in the media, Elon reflected on Robert and Sophia Peterson. Their story didn't alter his stance on the political issues at stake. He remained steadfast in his vision for renewable energy and space exploration, still at odds with the president's approach. But it reminded him of the importance of how those differences were expressed and the impact of political rhetoric on everyday Americans. In his next interview on the ongoing dispute, a subtle shift was evident. While firm in his political positions, he highlighted the president's legitimate concerns about public spending and emphasized shared goals like job creation and technological leadership. Though the president and I have different approaches to achieving these goals, he said, I believe we both want the best for our country and its future generations. Our disagreement lies in the means, not the ends, and I remain open to constructive dialogue on how we can collaborate despite our differences. The interviewer, expecting the confrontational tone of past exchanges, seemed taken aback by this measured approach. Does this signal a softening of your stance on the president's policies? She asked. Not at all, Elon replied. I still believe my approach better serves our economy's and environment's long-term needs. But I also believe we can disagree on policy without questioning each other's motives or commitment to the nation's well-being. Americans deserve substantive debates on critical issues, not personal attacks that distract from real problems. Elon never mentioned, nor would he publicly disclose, how a letter from a 73-year-old Ohio grandfather shaped his view of the human side of political divides. Some moments were too personal, too meaningful, to exploit for publicity or political debate. Meanwhile, Elon had another reply for Robert Peterson. Taking out his personal stationery again. He wrote a brief note to include with a special package for Sophia. Dear Robert, thank you for sharing your story and the wonderful photo of Sophia with her wind turbine project. Her dedication and creativity are evident, and I have no doubt she has a bright future in whatever field she chooses. I've added some extra resources that might interest her, including a SpaceX-designed rocket model kit for young students. If she'd like to attend our next Tesla Student Engineering Day, let me know, and I'll arrange an invitation. Your reflections on political discourse and efforts to engage differently with opposing views deserve praise. It reminds me that beneath the heated rhetoric of our current political climate are thoughtful people willing to reconsider their approaches and find common ground. Despite our political differences, I believe we share a common hope for Sophia's generation, that they inherit a world of opportunity, innovation, and sustainability. This shared hope outweighs any political divides. With respect, Elon. He included an exclusive educational kit, not yet public, featuring projects on renewable energy and space exploration, plus a personal note for Sophia encouraging her engineering interest and inviting her project questions. The package was sent quietly, a private exchange between individuals who found unexpected common ground despite starting as political foes. No press releases heralded this small act of reconciliation bridging divides. No social media posts leveraged its emotional appeal. It remained a silent testament that beneath public stances and political identities often dividing Americans were people capable of reflection, growth, and mutual respect. In the months that followed, as the political landscape evolved and new disputes eclipsed the Musk-Trump saga in public consciousness, the correspondence between Elon and the Peterson family continued sporadically. Robert sent updates on Sophia's engineering progress, including her science fair win with an improved wind turbine. Elon responded with encouragement, occasionally suggesting new challenges she might enjoy. When Sophia's class planned a California Science Museum trip, Elon arranged a special Tesla factory tour for the group. Robert joined as a chaperone, and he and Elon finally met face-to-face, two men who began as political adversaries but discovered shared values and hopes beyond their differences. Their brief encounter was private, away from the students and teachers exploring the plant. Robert, nervous about meeting the man he'd once threatened, extended a hand with a mix of shame and gratitude. "Mr. Musk, I want to thank you again for your kindness, not just to Sophia, but to me. You had every right to report my letter or ignore it. Instead, you responded with a generosity I didn't deserve." Elon warmly shook his hand. "Your letter reached me when I needed a reminder of what matters beyond political battles," he replied. "Seeing Sophia and her classmates today, their excitement for future technology, I realize that's what it's about, not politics, but building a world where their dreams can thrive." Robert nodded, emotion in his eyes. "I've thought a lot about the example we set them, how we handle differences, whether we can respect those with opposing views. I haven't always lived up to my best ideals in that regard." "None of us have," Elon acknowledged. "But your willingness to own it and change course, that's an example worth following." The conversation was brief, interrupted by excited students calling Mr. Peterson to see the latest production robots. But in that exchange lay recognition of something profound: political divides, however deep, needn't obstruct human connection and mutual respect. As the school group departed, Robert handed Elon a small envelope. "From Sophia," he explained. "She wanted me to give it to you personally." Later, alone in his office, Elon opened it to find a handwritten thank you from Sophia and a carefully drawn sketch of what she called a Martian greenhouse, a creative concept for growing food on the red planet, equipped with solar panels and water recycling systems. Her letter detailed each element with the earnest enthusiasm of a young science enthusiast. The drawing found a place on Elon's walnut desk, visible to visitors but in a private corner where he could glance at it during tough moments. It served as a quiet reminder of his work's purpose, beyond stock prices and political feuds, inspiring future generations to dream big and tackle big problems. The story of Robert's letter and the unexpected bond it fostered never went public. In a media landscape hungry for conflict and controversy, this quiet example of reconciliation and respect across political lines lacked sensational value. No viral social media posts, heartwarming news segments, or political analysts dissected its significance. But for those involved, Elon, Robert, and young Sophia, it carried real, lasting impact. It demonstrated that even amid fierce political divides, human qualities in those we most disagree with can be recognized. It showed how a moment of honest self-reflection could turn hostility into understanding and that common ground could emerge in shared hopes for the next generation. For Robert, the experience sparked a gradual but meaningful shift in handling political differences. He retained strong convictions but expressed them with respect, listening to opposing views with curiosity rather than disdain. His family relationships improved as he focused on shared values over political divides. For Sophia, unaware of her grandfather's full history with Elon, the support fueled her growing science and engineering passion. Knowing the man she admired took time to discuss her ideas boosted her confidence, even as the only girl in advanced math or the science club. For Elon, the exchange was a reminder of his works and words' impact. His political rift with Trump persisted but adopted a more measured tone, focusing on substantive issues over personal attacks. In private moments of frustration or anger, he sometimes recalled Robert's letter, from rage to reflection and remorse, finding in that transformation a model for his own conflict approach. This tale became a private testament to mercy and understanding in an era of political hostility. It revealed how a letter starting with threats and anger could lead to unexpected connection moments when people looked into their hearts and chose reconciliation over conflict. Robert's honest self-reflection turned a potentially negative incident into an opportunity for mutual respect and growth. Most importantly, it showed that political differences needn't sever fundamental human bonds uniting people despite ideological divides, especially when rooted in shared love for family and hope for future generations. In a small but significant way, it hinted at another form of political discourse, passionate about critical issues yet never losing sight of the humanity in those we disagree with. From this quiet exchange between a tech entrepreneur and an Ohio retiree engineer, no grand political lessons emerged. No manifestos on civic discourse were penned. No reconciliation initiatives were launched. It remained simply what it was, a human moment of connection across political divides, a modest example of how anger could yield to understanding when people recognize their shared hope. This concludes our narrative journey. I trust you found this gripping saga of intrigue, cutting-edge innovation, and astonishing discoveries captivating. From where are you tuning in today? I'm curious to learn which corner of the globe this tale has touched. If this escapade held your interest, please give this video a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel for a steady stream of compelling, mind-expanding stories just like this one. Fresh material is posted frequently, ensuring you're always in the loop for the newest spellbinding adventures. Be sure to pass this video along to your loved ones and friends. It's a great way to share positivity and insight while expanding our circle of story enthusiasts. Your encouragement is invaluable. Thank you for joining me, and I look forward to welcoming you back for the next tale.